That night, something happened. Something no one expected. It was the kind of night that made people hurry home faster, shoulders hunched against the cold. The rain fell in heavy sheets, washing the streets in silver, making everything look cleaner than it really was. But nothing could wash away what was about to happen. At a rundown diner on the corner of 9th and Lexington, a waitress named Lena Carter worked her usual shift. She was tired, she was always tired, but she never showed it. She had a way of making people feel like they mattered, like they weren't just another face in a world that didn't care. Inside, the diner smelled of coffee and grease. The neon sign buzzed weakly, struggling to stay alive, much like the people inside. But outside, under the dull glow of a street lamp, a little boy sat alone. No coat, no shoes, just a thin, soaked hoodie clinging to his trembling frame. He hugged his knees to his chest, his lips barely moving as he whispered something over and over. A prayer? A name? No one knew. No one asked. People walked past him like he was part of the sidewalk, part of the city's forgotten corners. Then Lena saw him. She stopped in the middle of wiping down a table, her eyes narrowing against the rain-streaked window. For a second, she didn't move. Then, as if pulled by something deeper than thought, she dropped the rag and pushed through the diner doors. The bell above the entrance jingled weakly, but no one really noticed. No one except the man sitting in the sleek black car parked across the street. Ethan Hayes. He had been there for a while, unnoticed, unseen. A billionaire. A man who had everything. A man who thought he had seen everything. But in that moment, watching that waitress step into the storm for a boy she didn't know, something shifted inside him. Lena knelt beside the child. Her voice was soft, careful. "Hey, sweetheart. Are you okay?" The boy didn't answer. His lips were cracked, his fingers curled tight, as if letting go would make him disappear. Lena's heart squeezed. She had seen hungry people before, desperate people. But this was something else. Without hesitation, she took off her own jacket and wrapped it around him. "Come with me, okay? I'll get you warm." The boy hesitated. Then, slowly, he reached for her hand. And just like that, a single act of kindness changed everything. From the car, Ethan watched, his grip tightening on the leather steering wheel. He didn't know her, didn't know the boy, but something told him he needed to remember this night. He needed to remember her. Days pass. The rain is gone, but the cold lingers, seeping into the cracks of the city. Inside Maggie's diner, the routine never changes. Lena Carter, 23, overworked and underpaid, moves through her shifts like clockwork. She wipes down tables, refills coffee, and forces smiles even when exhaustion sits heavy in her bones. She has no choice. Rent is due. Bills pile up. Life doesn't wait. But through it all, she never loses herself. She notices things. An elderly man fumbling with his change, embarrassed by shaking hands. She helps him count, never rushing, never making him feel small. A single mother, dark circles under her eyes, trying to stretch one plate of pancakes between two kids. Lena quietly brings an extra side of toast. No charge. A college student, hunched over a notebook, overwhelmed. Lena drops a warm cup of tea in front of her. "On the house," she says with a wink. No one asks her to do these things. No one pays her extra for them. But Lena Carter doesn't need a reason to be kind. Across the city, in an office that touches the sky, a man stares out at the streets below, thinking, remembering. Ethan Hayes should have forgotten her by now. His world is built on numbers, deals, and profit margins. Emotions? They don't fit into balance sheets. And yet, that night in the rain, that boy, that waitress, something about her won't let him go. Who is she? Why does she care so much? He doesn't understand it, but he wants to. And Ethan Hayes is not a man who leaves questions unanswered. So, he makes a decision. The next evening, he steps into Maggie's diner. The bell above the door jingles. No one pays attention, except for Lena. She glances up, mid-step, a tray balanced on one hand. A new customer. Nothing unusual. But there's something about the way he carries himself. Controlled, calculated, like a man used to owning the space he walks into. She doesn't think much of it. She's too busy. Ethan takes a seat in the corner, where he can see everything. But he isn't interested in the food. He watches. Listens. He watches Lena move, effortless, attentive. The way she never lets a cup stay empty for long. The way she crouches to a child's eye level when taking their order. The way she makes every single person feel seen. This isn't just a job to her. It's who she is. For the first time in a long time, Ethan feels something unfamiliar. Something unsettling. Lena reaches his table, pulling out a notepad. She greets him like she greets everyone, warm, welcoming, as if she's known him forever. Ethan orders. Simple. A black coffee, and whatever the house special is. She scribbles it down, smiles, and moves on. Nothing extraordinary. Nothing out of the ordinary. Except for him, everything about this moment feels different. He stays longer than he should, watching, listening. When the check comes, he doesn't say anything, doesn't ask questions. Instead, he pulls out an envelope, slips it beneath the plate. Then, without a word, he walks out. Lena doesn't notice until later. Her shift is almost over. The diner is quieter now, the chaos of dinner rush fading into soft conversation and clinking dishes. She reaches for the plate, sighing as she wipes down the table. Then, her hand stills. The envelope. She hesitates, glancing toward the door, but he's long gone. With careful fingers, she peels it open. Inside, cash. A lot of cash. More than she's ever seen in a single tip. And a note. For simple words. For your kindness. Her hands tremble. Her breath catches. She counts the crisp bills once. Twice. The number doesn't change. This doesn't make sense. People don't do this. Not for her. Not for anyone. She sits at the counter long after her shift ends, staring at the envelope, her mind spinning. Who is he? And why does this feel like just the beginning? Days pass. The envelope still sits in Lena's drawer, untouched, except for the time she takes it out, counts the bills again, reads the note one more time. For your kindness. She doesn't understand it. People don't just do things like that. Not in this city. Not for someone like her. She tells herself it's over. That the man in the suit was just another customer, another stranger passing through. But then, he comes back. The bell jingles. The evening rush has just begun. The air is thick with the smell of coffee and grilled food. Lena barely glances up at first. Just another customer. Then, she sees him. Same booth. Same quiet presence. This time, he doesn't just sit and watch. This time, he asks for her by name. Her heart stumbles. A warning. A question. She hesitates. Just for a second. But she's at work. She has a job to do. So, she goes. She approaches his table, pad and pen in hand, the same way she would for anyone else. He looks at her. Really looks at her. As if he's trying to understand something. She waits. Then his order. Simple. A black coffee. And, I'd like to have coffee with you after your shift. The words catch her off guard. A simple request, but it feels like something else. Something more. She blinks. Why? She doesn't ask it out loud, but he must see it on her face. He doesn't explain. Just waits. She should say no. There's no reason to say yes. But something about him. Something about the way he looks at her. As if he's searching for something he doesn't even understand himself. She nods. Just once. And then, she walks away before she can change her mind. The night drags on. The usual customers. The usual exhaustion. But beneath it all, a question lingers. Why is he here? Why her? By the time she clocks out, she's convinced she's making a mistake. But somehow, she still finds herself sitting across from him at a quiet corner table, fingers curled around a cup of coffee that's too hot to drink. He watches her. She watches him. The silence stretches. Then, why do you do it? She frowns. Do what? He leans forward. Not demanding. Just curious. Help people. When you barely have enough for yourself. She shrugs, looking down at her coffee. Because I can. He waits. She exhales. Kindness isn't something you wait to have enough of, she says quietly. It's something you choose. He doesn't respond right away. Because he doesn't have an answer for that. Because in his world, everything has a price. A transaction. A reason. And yet, Lena Carter is sitting across from him, proving that maybe, just maybe, he's been wrong all along. The diner closes. The night deepens. Before he leaves, Ethan reaches into his pocket. Another envelope. No cash this time. Just a note. He slides it across the table. Then, without another word, he walks out into the night. Lena watches him go. Then, cautiously, she picks up the note. An invitation. To his office. Tomorrow. She stares at the words. Her pulse quickens. She doesn't know what he wants. She doesn't know if she should go. But deep down, she already knows she will. The next morning, Lena stands frozen on the sidewalk, staring up at the towering glass skyscraper. The city moves around her, rushing, honking, pushing forward, but she can't move. This world isn't hers. She doesn't belong here. The building stretches impossibly high, reflecting the morning sun, too polished, too perfect. A deep breath, then another. She grips the note in her pocket, his invitation. Then, she steps inside. The lobby is silent, except for the rhythmic clicking of heels against marble floors. Everything is sleek, modern, cold. Lena feels eyes on her. Well-dressed professionals move past her, barely sparing a glance, too focused on their own ambitions. She shifts uncomfortably. The scent of expensive cologne lingers in the air. The weight of her secondhand coat feels heavier here, out of place. Then, a voice. Miss Carter? She turns. A woman in a crisp black suit stands nearby, expression unreadable. Mr. Hayes is expecting you. Lena swallows hard and nods. She follows. The elevator ride is silent. Each floor they pass feels like another step away from everything she's ever known. Then, the doors slide open. She steps into an office unlike anything she's ever seen. Wall-to-wall glass. The entire New York skyline stretches before her. And standing in the center of it all, Ethan Hayes. He greets her warmly. No suit jacket today. Sleeves rolled up, tie loosened. He looks different here. Less like a billionaire. More like a man who hasn't slept much. He gestures for her to sit. She doesn't. Not yet. She crosses her arms. Why am I here? A pause. Then, I wanted to tell you who I really am. The words hit her like a punch. Ethan Hayes, CEO of Hayes Enterprises. One of the most powerful men in the city. The man who sat in her diner. The man who left her that tip. The man who asked her to coffee. He's not just some customer. He's a billionaire. And she's standing in his office. Her stomach tightens. This was a mistake. She takes a step back, shaking her head. If this is some kind of joke. It's not. His voice is steady. I saw something in you, Lena. She scoffs. Yeah? And what's that? He doesn't flinch. Something this world doesn't have enough of. He gestures toward the skyline behind him. Money, power, success. It's all people care about here. It's all I cared about until I saw you. Her throat tightens. Ethan leans forward. You had nothing, but you gave everything. A beat. I don't just want to thank you. I want to help you. She stares at him, unsure whether to laugh or run. Help me. He nods. Then, he slides a folder across the desk. She doesn't move. Inside is a full scholarship to the best culinary school in the state. Every expense covered. And when you graduate, funding to open your own cafe. Silence. She can't breathe. She can't think. Her hands stay at her sides, refusing to touch the folder. This can't be real. She finally finds her voice. It's shaky, barely above a whisper. Why? Ethan's expression softens. Because the world needs more people like you. Her eyes burn. She wants to believe him. But life has never been this simple. She swallows, stepping back again. I don't need charity. It's not charity. His voice is calm. It's a chance. Her fists clench. I don't know anything about running a business. You'll learn. She shakes her head, frustration and fear clashing inside her. And what if I fail? Ethan smiles. Then you fail. A pause. And then you get back up. Lena stares at the folder. This isn't just about money. It's about her. Her future. Her dreams. She thinks about the nights she spent handing out food, the way it felt to help, even when she had nothing. Maybe this is her chance to do more. Her hands tremble as she finally reaches forward, touching the folder's smooth surface. She exhales, looks up at Ethan, and for the first time, she says yes. The cafe sits on a quiet corner, bathed in the golden glow of its hanging lights. The scent of fresh coffee and warm pastries drifts onto the street, inviting, comforting, a place that feels like home. Inside, soft laughter mixes with the hum of conversation. The walls, lined with pictures of smiling customers, tell a story of kindness, resilience, and second chances. And at the center of it all, Lena Carter. She moves through the cafe with ease, her apron slightly dusted with flour, her hands steady as she pours coffee and plates warm muffins. She greets every customer like an old friend. No one is invisible here. No one is turned away. At the counter, a familiar face sits, the young boy she once found shivering in the rain. Now he's healthy, safe, a world away from that cold night. He grins as he bites into a chocolate croissant, swinging his feet under the stool. Lena watches him, her heart full. She remembers the long nights at the diner, the doubt, the fear. She never imagined she would be here. She never dared to dream this big. But here she is, and this place, her place, exists because someone believed in her. Outside, leaning against his sleek black car, Ethan Hayes watches. He doesn't go inside. He doesn't need to. He sees it all from here. The cafe, the people, the life she's built. And he smiles, because he knows he made the right choice. Lena never needed saving. She just needed a chance. And now, she's giving that chance to others. The cafe isn't just a business. It's a symbol of hope, of generosity, of the ripple effect one act of kindness can create. Inside, Lena looks up, sensing someone. She turns toward the window. But by the time she steps outside, Ethan is gone, just a car disappearing into the city lights. She exhales, a soft smile on her lips, because somehow, she knows, this isn't the end of their story. Not yet. The glow of the cafe lingers as the world fades to black, leaving behind warmth, hope, and a story worth remembering. Now a question for you, the viewer. Have you ever experienced a moment when a simple act of kindness changed everything? Do you believe that one choice, one moment, can shape the course of someone's life? If you were given the chance to change someone's future, would you take it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. And if you love this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, because sometimes the right story reaches the right person at the right time. Maybe that person is you.